Day in the Ukraine Crisis Media Center. We're starting from our special project dedicated to the first anniversary of EuroMaidan. We'll be talking now to a singer, civil activist at EuroMaidan, Ruslana Lyzhychko, and students. We'll be talking about this night of November 30. Now, Ruslana, the singer civil activist in EuroMaidan, together with the students from Lviv and different other regions of Ukraine who suffered during Maidan events of November 29th, will tell us about their plans. Good afternoon. I would like to introduce all the participants of the conference because I will say a few words about why we organized this night of memory. Ivona, Svyatoslav, Andriy, Lesya Matvichuk, that's EuroMaidan SOS, the only organization which can correctly characterize the issue of investigation of not just the events at EuroMaidan, but all the crimes against human rights. The biggest question is when we will have justice in Ukraine. Today, we want to see at least the result, at least in something, talking about justice. That night, they dispersed not just students EuroMaidan, but the ideology of Ukraine. The students' ideology was not just formed, but also demonstrated at EuroMaidan then. And I can tell you that I, as the person who participated in that, as the person who analyzed the Russian propaganda, I now understand why immediately Itartas started saying that there were provocateurs and extremists at Maidan. A few days ago, Putin passed the resolution on combating the global extremism, and I understand that the dispersing of the students Maidan was the special operation of the Kremlin. And when we hear the names Kluyev, Sivkovich, and other people who were involved into that, despite what EuroMaidan SOS will tell us now as to the legal part of that, but we will finalize our investigation and we will make it public because too many victims, too many facts are there to prove who committed crime against Ukraine that night. And I call upon everyone on the night from November 29th to the 30th to go just as a sign of solidarity to students Maidan. The students went out to stand for the main decision of Ukraine, Euro-integration, for the future of Ukraine. We were not just standing there and shouting the slogans. That was the EuroMaidan which was killed that night. They showed the blood, and we were transferred from constructive social optimism into frustration, anger, and revenge. And I would like you to, all of you who are present here, to find the opportunity, despite the weather, to come out that night. That is so important. The night of memory, the night of solidarity. You will see wonderful speakers. We will have Mikhailo Saakashvili, Stefan Fülle, with the priests. You will hear the priests who were there that night. We will have the students who were there that night, the students of the 90s who are getting together now, those who were making this revolution on granite. We will have a serious analyst. Andriy Larionov will be there. We invited the ambassadors, the ambassador of the U.S., European Union. We will have guests and journalists, and you know all of them. Yuri Butuzov, Sergei Rakhmanin, Volodymyr Petrovich and Mykola Veresin will be moderating that, and all the efforts of the night guard and the efforts of the students who will be there, who will demonstrate what was that real Maidan, will not be wasted. And we want to call upon, besides what you will hear from this stage, this creative class that was formed then, which was not allowed to say anything because they were beaten, and that was the crime against Ukraine. And other participants will tell about that because they felt the hits of the sticks themselves. But I can tell you that it will be very important. We will have the festival of borscht, tea and coffee, the stage, the sound, it will be broadcast online. But again, I would like to call upon you, please come, and we'll be raising money for the army, for the children of Donbass, for the DPIs. That will be a very constructive night, the night that it was to be the night like that a year ago.
Дуже коротко і так. Доброго дня. Та я, як Руслана вже зазначила, одна зі студентів, які були в ту ніч під час розгону так званого студентського майдану. І я хочу коротко дуже сказати, тому що зараз я працюю з армією. Я є волонтером благодійного фонду «Волонтерська сотня Україна Світ». І те, що ми бачимо зараз на Сході, це продовження того, що ми з вами почали. Того, що...
That is a continuation what we started during that peaceful Maidan. Now there are such changes which we could not expect even half a year ago or 7 months ago. Now, I mean, those who are on the other side of the barricades, we work with them, we communicate with them, we build a dialogue with them, because there were bloody events and many people died on both sides. But we have to live in the same country. We have to build this country because on both sides of the barricades, we are patriots of this country. They love this country and they are ready to stand for it, to fight for it. What we do there, we are trying not to impose our opinion to those who were fighting against us for 4 months, who were killing our friends, who put a lot of bloody events in our history, Berkuts and thugs. Those are from Ministry of Interior. We were in confrontation with them. Now we have to find something in common with them. We need to stand for the independence of our country together. And now they are risking their life also. Maidan, I found a lot of friends on Maidan and a lot of bright moments and a lot of tragic during this that winter which we were there on Maidan after that bloody dispersal of Maidan. Now it's very important to decide how to overcome hatred and all and how to find a compromise and this common road, because we have this country for all of us. Unfortunately, now we are trying to help to the armed forces. I cannot be present this night, and I have to leave. Ivona was all the time. Her parents were on the talking to me, and I didn't meet a lot of people who are so strong, and I would like to thank you that you were so strong, because such a girls stronger than our Stella. I would like to find to invite a girl who is Oleksandr Sushko, who may be even stronger than Ivona, who may seem fragile, but I saw how she formatted many people who are responsible for investigation of the crimes, but somehow they didn't do it. But Lysa will tell us very important things. Good afternoon, I represent EuroMaidan Source, and we created this initiative after a peaceful students' demonstration was dispersed. I wanted to remind that the biggest protest, there were like advocacy. They had advocacy features, but on the 1st of December, people stood not for European integration, but they were against the students forbidden. That's why one of the main requirements out of Mali was efficient investigation and finding the accused and bring them to responsibility. And it's clear for the country which lost, and for people who lost, 115 people as minimum died, 29 are missing until now. 206 journalists suffered, and several thousands people suffered, and we don't know how many of them are disabled. For example, the Civic Initiative Year Plus has information about 50 people who lost, who lost their eyes, and because they was shot in their eyes, and all that should be investigated, not just to bring to responsibility those who did it, but for us, for that never happened in our country, not to be repeated. Nobody and the government should know that people will come to peaceful protest if people will not like their policy. But we need to develop a safeguard for no one else to think even about killing people and to disperse peaceful students' demonstration for their views, for their convictions, for their beliefs. And now it's 1 year since those events, and I would like to give you something happy, to give you a good news about General Prosecution, Ministry of Interior, and about investigation. But even without me, that lawyers of Heavenly 100 and who stand for the interest of those people who suffered during EuroMaidan and the society and the initial EuroMaidan source, we are not happy with the results of investigation. It's not efficient. There are two groups of reasons. The first group of reasons is objective things. We know that during EuroMaidan there was no investigation. According to the law of amnesty, they destroyed personal data about protesters in all the hospitals. The majority of suspects fled to Russia or to Crimea, or fight on the side of terrorists. On the 24th and 25th, there were in SBU, Ministry of Interior, there were burning documents, and but unfortunately there are some traditional for our systems problems, and it's a problem that we don't have in Ukraine an independent body which would investigate complaints against police. And that's why lawyers from Heavenly 100 sent to the General Prosecution, to the Ministry of Interior, and to the Security Service had a letter which says that in our legislation there is a deadline for investigation. It's 1 year for killing, and so that time expires in February, and then the investigation will have to give everything they have to the court, and the court will decide whether that is enough of evidence that they collected. And if the investigation is not efficient, we'll not receive something we would like to see in the court. But we can blame our judges. We can say that we need to listen to them, but it may happen because of inefficient investigation. That's why lawyers ask about three things: to improve coordination of investigation, to set up a special investigation department, the main investigation department in General Prosecution for that. So different investigators should work in that group. They should coordinate the activity. They should not work separate. That's why we don't have the whole picture of terror and unlawfulness. Those investigators should not do anything else in addition to that, because this is extremely important for our country. They must not investigate many other crimes at the same time. They should be investigated, but other investigators should work on that, and these ones should not be distracted. And the third point, I didn't know about this, that our investigators, and they are paid according to the old Soviet times. So 30% of their salary and 70% of bonuses that are connected to results. And if they don't investigate some other cases at the same time, they don't receive those 70% of bonuses, and they receive only 30%. So they are motivated to work. The motivation is very low to investigate EuroMaidan crimes, and we have to correct that. So just investigation, this is our duty, just investigation, this is our challenge, and also it's our task as a civic society to press our bodies to do that. We have still a few months left. I would like to give the chance to all the speakers to speak. Svyatoslav, we came together on a train from Lviv, and Andrei created the message, and so they came with that purpose, to give information how that happened. Sometimes I see that people, when they hear a lot, they get tired, but please don't get distracted. Focus on everything what you hear as to the dispersal of Student Maidan, because I am worried, and that investigation is not of those crimes is not a priority for our country, for our government, because that's a part of ideology of our country. And justice is a concrete value, and we are standing for that on Maidan. Here's the guys who are standing for that and for the development of our country. So I would like Svyatoslav to speak, and Andrei, and then we'll have the last speaker. I keep him for dessert.
I'm Svyatoslav. First of all, I would like to mention that a year almost passed and little has changed. I'm from Lviv National Franco University. My specialization is psychology. I'm from the philosophy department. I was just going along Institutskaya, and I was full of emotions. I remind that partially we got what we were fighting for, but because of that, the sacrifice was too big. I got many friends, but all these awful things that we saw, we could never imagine that we would be fighting for the freedom and for the future of the country this way. And that is why all those who committed crimes are to be punished, and will be working hard for that. And I would like to request all of you to join us to be at Maidan at night of November 29th. And from the very beginning till the end, be with us. I'm Andrei. I'm the representative of the student self-government of Lviv Franco University, and I remember the 28th, the 29th November, I was organizing people. We came to Kiev by coaches. Morning of the November 30th, I believe, was the most difficult morning in my life, because I was organizing people and I was responsible for them. You can imagine what I felt, that these were 30, 40 people who were brought, and I was all the morning on the 30th, I was on the phone, and Svyatoslav is the person with who we've been friends for a long time. He was my source of information. In the morning after all these events, he would call me after all these events from Ukrainian house. And now we are getting together at Maidan because that's the symbol that we are still there, the students are still alive, and I will always be saying that the students are the catalyst and the engine to changes. Without any pragmatism, we will be standing for the future, for the development, and we do not see any social changes now. I saw the interview of the father of the youngest hero of the Heavenly Hundred, and he says, I do not believe that those who are guilty in this murder will be punished, because now people manipulate and they just say that they cannot do anything because of the war. This is very low, and this is awful when people are talking about that. And we'll be also developing the. We are working on the project of the Control Council, Control Rada. We tell the members of parliament, remember why we have you in the parliament, because a lot of blood was shed and they are responsible for all this. And Svyatoslav, other guys who were wounded, who are volunteers, we don't need any money for that. We need money. We need people who will be working in commissions together with members of parliament, and they should be observing how our state is developing. That is one of the priorities, to have them punished. I would like to introduce Oksana. She was there. She suffered. That is the girl who does not look like a provocateur or an extremist. Maidan started long time ago and has never stopped since. And there are now many ideas as people believe we need to forget Maidan because it stopped, and all this tragedy in the east of Ukraine has more sacrifices and more disasters. People in Maidan suffered, but that's not as awful as the Lviv tragedy, but that is wrong idea, which can lead us to more disasters. Small evil big evil starts from small evil. If we do not investigate small crime, this will lead to big losses, and that is why I call upon you to come on the 29th of November to Maidan, because if we forget it, we'll be reminded. And they will be reminded by the blood of the innocent girls and boys. I remember the night when we were running away from Maidan up to the monument to Khmelnytsky. When we were hiding in the alley, we were knocking at the gate of the St. Michael's Cathedral. We shouldn't forget that, and people do forget. The next weekend, the mass media wouldn't remember that. We do not even remember Lviv now, but every crime which is not investigated leads to the future crime. We need to remember that. Another thing I would like to say, now they're talking about warring with the title of the heroes of Ukraine, the Heavenly 100, and people start saying those people who are killed in ATO, not heroes of Ukraine. This is some sort of manipulation. I don't think that because of these awards, the 19-year-old Dostim, who was killed on the 20th of February in Institutska, and 20 years old Stefan Stefurak, who was killed in Pisky, they would have never quarreled about that. And I like the phrase of Crimean Muslims. They said we need to remember the Heavenly 100 because they were the first ones. The Quran says, I am a Christian, but I recognize that the whole country got united. The Christians and the Muslims and Jews are to be together. And they said that it is more difficult for the pioneers. When no one believes, you need to stand up and go with the wooden shield against the system. And we should not forget, and we need to understand that this is the duty of everyone to defend your land. But that was the heroic deed then. And that is the heroic deed which we need to follow. And the third thing I liked, I have recently traveled from Lviv to Koval. I am both the journalist and the volunteer, and we are driving there, and the traffic police is there, and they say you cannot go there. There are Bandera people there, and they do not allow anyone to go there. and we say, can we go somehow? The prosecutor went there and they were throwing stones at him. Maybe that's Maidan in action. Maidan should explain that if the person doesn't understand the language, doesn't understand the piece of paper with all the duties of this person, then we explain it in different way. And that is not called to be judges, but we want to explain that unless we have courts which operate in this country, the people will become courts, and you cannot stick to your leather coaches or armchairs, because people understand, and we need to understand once our guys are suffering tortures, we will survive through the exchange rate of dollar, cold heaters and gas, and we have to survive through all of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for attention. I see 1+1, and I would like to have an announcement. We right away after the special students EuroMaidan, so on that night from 29 to 30, I will give everything all Maidan. Nobody saw them because I didn't want to look at it. Now I will publish all evidence from students and all my notes, all video interviews I collected. I knew that it would be needed for such a moment. Once again, I would like to invite all people. Sleep. Come ready and be on Maidan with us. It will be comfortable, and it will be interesting and productive and constructive. You will be able not just to come, you will participate in creation of that state we would like to build. My conviction, I'm convinced that as to the Heavenly 100, they should belong into the group of sacred people. This is my appeal to the church and people, they gave their life for other people, or they are saints. All people who gave their lives for other lives, they are saints, and that will be like a baton from the Heavenly 100 to other people, and this is the highest value. We will stand for that on Maidan, life of people. As to that night, and why do I invite you? Because for us it's a mobilization, it's self-organizing, it's an expression of that we are self-sufficient. If we, naive, believe that corruption system will punish itself, if we believe that corrupted system will change itself or will do something, we are naive. Only us and only us will change the system. Only us. Only we will develop a startup of the Ukraine. Will build that justice country we are fighting for. That's why I invite you from 29 to 30 on night, where the idea of where people stand for the idea of Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine. Thank you very much. Ruslana, I would like to thank students who are here, to hundreds who were on Maidan and who initiated EuroMaidan. There is a renovation of the nation of our people. Thank you very much, and I invite all to come to Maidan on the 29th, because there will be huge drive. And there will be a different drive to the constructive drive of social content and product information, and you will hear about the Third and the Fourth World War and about civic Marshall Plan, a lot of productive things. There will be journals, there will be unique speeches. If you wanted to get a master class how the civic society should take the power in their hands, come to Maidan at night from 20